Canada's newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney has met US President Donald Trump in Washington. Mr Carney's Liberal Party won the Canadian election on promises to build a new economic and security relationship with the US. President Trump repeated assertions of making Canada the 51st US state during the Oval Office meeting. Mr Carney is adamant that won't be happening.
It would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale. Having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale.
And joining us now with more on this is Professor Stewart Prest, lecturer at the University of British Columbia's Department of Political Science. Stewart, thank you so much for your time. Did Prime Minister Carney strike the right balance, do you think, in his meeting with President Trump?
I think so. It was a bit of a high wire act, and so we were watching with bated breath here in Canada. But I think he actually didn't say that much during the meeting. It was mostly President Trump who was doing the talking, but Mr. Carney picked his spots, and I think he picked them quite well. So at the first moment, he was able to. He interjected and delivered that comment that we just heard now regarding Canada not being for sale, and putting it in the terms of real estate. So speaking Mr. Trump's language, and I think that performance really stood out.
And so where is Canada at when it comes to those tariffs? How has Canada been impacted so far? What direction are things heading in?
It's a good question. It is even here hard to keep track of because tariffs are applied, tariffs are rescinded, and at the moment we are in something of a holding pattern with a sort of moderate level of tariffs applied. There were exemptions for Canada in the latest round that was attached to Europe and China. So we seem like we are somehow not experiencing the worst case scenario, and yet the threats to our economy continue to be quite significant, particularly in areas of manufacturing, steel and aluminum, automobiles. These are areas of our economy that are actually deeply interconnected with the United States economy, and yet it seems like the president and his administration have a plan to reindustrialize the United States, and Canada is clearly in the crosshairs there.
Stewart, here in Australia, we are all still processing the results of the Australian election on the weekend. Tell us what your analysis is of the role Donald Trump played in the recent Canadian election.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think there are some strong parallels there. Here in Canada, we had a government that was seemingly on a path to sure defeat under Justin Trudeau, the Liberal Party here, and two things happened almost simultaneously. We had the threat of tariffs and even talk of annexation of of Canada from the United States at the same time as we had a switch to a new leader in Prime Minister Mark Carney, and that 1-2 step seemed to completely change the conversation. But it's clear that Mr. Trump and his threats loomed overall, and Mr. Carney's presence gave the Liberals an opportunity, but it was the Liberals' ability to speak to the need to defend Canada against the United States and to maintain distance to the more sort of populist conservative agenda that the Conservative Party here in Canada is associated with to an extent, and that really transformed the election.
Professor Stewart Prest, really appreciate your analysis. Yes, we are seeing column inches also being written here in Australia about the Trump factor in our election too. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. Anytime.